How's it going, guys? You're watching Budget Bill Garage, and this is going to be a quick tech tip. Today I'm going to show you how to flare brake lines with the Harbor Freight tool. These flare tools, honestly, they're not very good. They're about 20 bucks. They'll get the job done. You can make clean flares with them, but overall they're not very good. But a good one, the one I like, is like 200, 250 bucks, and let's be honest, that's a lot for your average guy that does maybe a car here and there and maybe does 10 flares. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get a decent flare out of this, something that won't leak, something you can use. We're going to start with some steel brake line. This is just steel brake line, powder coated black. It comes like this. It is 3/16. You're going to take the tool itself as well as the 3/16 die. Start by opening up the jaws. Put your line through the 3/16 part and just snug it down a bit so it holds it. Now we're going to set the height. What you want to do is take your die, set it on here, and you want the protrusion of the metal to be pretty much exactly the same height. Once you do that, you want to make sure these jaws are even. They're not tilted or slanted. You want them to meet up flat and flush. That way, when you tighten this thing down, it tightens down straight, and when you tighten this tool down, it flares straight. You need a straight flare if you want a good flare. So, once you got this thing nice and tight, I'm going to set it in the vise so it'll be a little easier to show and film. You're going to start by taking the die, pouring some oil on it, some sort of grease, really any kind will do. Slide that in there. Then take this guy here, set it up just like that. You want to make sure this is as straight as possible so it flares perfectly straight, doesn't tilt at all. Once you're comfortable with that, you're going to go ahead and just start crushing this thing until it bottoms out. And it didn't work. So the first thing I've done is replace the wing nuts with actual nuts so I can tighten this down enough to actually hold the metal without it slipping backwards. If this thing pushes through, it's not going to flare. It's just not going to work. So once you've bottomed the die out, then you're good. Then back this tool off, remove the die. If you notice, you have a nice flare. That's your first flare. When you do the double flare, just use the tool itself and retighten this. This one, you're not going to completely bottom out. You're just trying to put the indent. You don't want to go all the way because you like the final bit to be done when you tighten it up on the actual brake fitting itself. So, once you do that, back it off. And as you can see, once I tear away some of the powder coating, you have a good flare. We were just doing this as a test to show you guys. When you do this, you need to make sure you put a fitting on it. Don't forget to put your brake line fitting on first before you flare it. Otherwise, you're just going to be cutting the flare off and doing it again. Alright guys, well that's how you do the flare with one of these Harbor Freight tools. Honestly, I'm not a big fan. They're kind of cheap. They're a little bit tricky to use, but they do a clean flare. It'll help you in a pinch. If you have any comments or questions, drop them down in the bottom, like, subscribe, and stay tuned next week when we're back on the Mustang doing the master cylinder.